Kyle Wilhoit, senior security researcher at Domain Tools. We are in 2018 now, and in 2017, we saw a lot of kind of old school tactics rear their head once again. Phishing, of course, ransomware, and massive data breaches. As we look into 2018, what do you anticipate companies might experience in terms of cyber threats?
Yeah, good question. So first and foremost, I think we're going to continue to see ransomware spiking up. And what I mean by that is ransomware as a method to ultimately extort individuals, meaning I'm going to compromise possibly your machine, and ideally I won't, but let's say I do. I will ultimately compromise your machine with ransomware and say, if you don't pay me, let's say, half a Bitcoin within the first week, I'm going to drastically increase that cost over a period of time. And they know that many individuals don't have backups, so they're ultimately likely going to go ahead and pay that. So I think that's the first piece that we're going to see massively in 2018 is the leveraging of ransomware to actually go out and extort individuals. Second, I think denial of service attacks are going to be drastically increased. I think ultimately, and I predicted this in 2017, which ultimately didn't come true, unfortunately. But I think ultimately in 2018, we have the likelihood of seeing a massive outage due to possibly an IoT botnet like Mirai or something like that, massively compromising very large swaths of the internet that can ultimately affect businesses and individuals alike. So I think those are two of the primary things we're going to see in 2018. And I think that's only going to happen because criminals are starting to realize that the monetization of this kind of currency or of this kind of attack is very, very good and very easy to do. So I think we're going to see those two things happen dramatically in 2018.
I'm glad you raised cryptocurrency as the blockchain, not Bitcoin, but as the blockchain is used by more and more companies. We will see a rise in cryptocurrencies that are used in extortion attempts. Is there
Absolutely.
a correlation between the value of cryptocurrency and a rise in cyber attacks?
I don't know that I would necessarily say that the rise is necessarily due to cyber attacks. I think to some degree, the inherent nature of cryptocurrencies is what drives that kind of fluctuation or that upward price trending. And I think part of that is because it's mostly anonymous, right? Meaning criminals, just like someone possibly buying drugs online, though all of these individuals can leverage these cryptocurrencies. And now that there's so many outside of Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ripple, there's so many different cryptocurrencies that can be leveraged and laundered and washed in so many different ways, and it's very, very easy now. I think that that's ultimately the driving factor. It may not have to do necessarily with cyber criminals, but I think it's the inherent model or nature of cryptocurrencies that allows for the popularity to increase. And that's my personal opinion. I don't have any hard data to prove and say, hey, there might be X, Y, and Z related to a cyber criminal attack. But I think ultimately the inherent nature of that technology is what increases the value personally.
And what about other attacks that are dovetailed with emerging trends, specifically IoT-based and IoT targeting attacks?
Yeah, no, great question. So unfortunately, in IoT environments, security is oftentimes an afterthought or what is sometimes considered a bolt-on, meaning the core product set is designed, but then later on security is thought about. That's an ultimate problem because these devices get deployed across the internet, across the globe, hundreds and thousands of devices. And when a bad actor can realize that there's a vulnerability present in these devices, they can easily then script up maybe a worm or a botnet that will go out and start to compromise these nearly instantaneously or very quickly, and that spreads that web very quickly. So ultimately, I think that that's going to be another issue that we'll see in 2018, similar to what we saw in 2017 with Mirai, et cetera. And I think that's only going to increase until some of these IoT organizations realize that security should be a number one foundational concern. Before functionality, in my opinion, it should always be a fundamental concern.